Hello, I'm Laurel House, your GenConnect expert, and we are at BlogHer 11 with Jaden Hare from thesteamykitchen.com. So Jaden, tell me a little bit about your Steamy kitchen. What is it that fans are attracted to?
Well, I'm very visual. I'm incredibly visual, and when I when I pick up a cookbook, I flip through it really quick, and I give it the 5-second test. And if there's the ratio of text to pictures is too high, then I won't. I want pictures. So one of the appeals of Steamy Kitchen is I want food to really jump out at you, and my job is to make food look so delicious that you want to go in the kitchen, run in the kitchen, and make the recipe. So I think the visual element was really important.
That makes a lot of sense. So as you're cooking, are you also photographing constantly?
Yes, I am.
It makes the cooking process take a little bit longer.
It does, and then sometimes if I need both of my hands in the shot, I'll call one of my kids over and bribe him with some chocolate or something, and have him
take the photo
with my hand. Sometimes I tell him to take many of them because sometimes he'll not get my hand and get something else.
Right.
But it's a lot of fun. My kids get involved in the process as well.
So you're almost documenting your life through your food.
Yeah.
So are you doing this every night when you prepare dinner? Are you taking that and uploading it onto your website?
Because you know what? Part of writing about recipes is that I have to test my recipes a couple of times before I ever publish them. So it's a pretty lengthy process. Usually for each recipe post, it takes about from conception all the way to posting it. Usually takes about 12 hours for each recipe. So a lot of work goes into it. It's not just like I create a recipe in my head and jot it down and publish it, because there's responsibility in when I'm publishing something online.
Yeah.
People actually spend money and time to make this, and if it's not tested well, and if the recipe is crap, I'll hear about it.
And that's interesting too, because I think some people think that online is just a free-for-all. You can just slap something up there and it'll stick. But
for food it's a little different, because I do have a good sense of responsibility.
That makes a lot of sense. And you also write books.
I do. I'm on my second. I have a cookbook, the Steamy Kitchen Cookbook, and I just signed another book deal for my second book with 10 Speed Press, so I'll be working on that.
And when's that coming out?
Oh, it'll take a while. It usually takes 2 years from start to finish, because it takes a while to create the recipes, test them, photograph them, and then there's a whole putting the book together.
So someone who's just starting to get into this whole blogging world, and they're big foodies and they want to put up a food blog, what should they do first?
Well, in terms of the first thing, I totally recommend being part of the community, because that's
your local food community.
Well, even events like BlogHer, just being part of the food blogging community, and instead of just being on the sidelines. That's the first advice. But you know what? I think I learned a great life lesson this year. Incredible life lesson was I'm always very ambitious, and I'm very entrepreneurial, and I always had the philosophy of go big, go home. Like do it big, or don't do it at all. And I kind of learned that doing it big sometimes isn't always the best. And changed. I got really stressful. Last year I traveled every month. I was in New York going to meetings, and I was doing so much that I was stressed out. And now I slowed down my life just a bit, and now instead of go big or go home, it's go small and have fun. And I think that as someone that's incredibly ambitious and busy all the time, it was really refreshing for me to just step back, pull back the reins, and say, okay, I'm going to go small. I'm going to have fun with this, and I'm going to get my kids involved, and I'm going to work only 3 hours a day.
It's just tweaking your perspective on it, which is something you talk about. Now, I read something interesting that of how one of the things that motivated you to get involved with the blog was that you were at a Chinese restaurant and you heard someone talk about come join me for sushi.
Yeah, well, I was at a restaurant called Bangkok Tokyo. And I was waiting for my to-go order, and this lady was sitting at the sushi bar, and she had her beautiful Gucci shoes, gorgeous handbag, perfect nails, and she was on her cell phone. She was talking so loudly, and she goes, "I'm at the Chinese restaurant. Come meet me for sushi." And I'm looking at the sign. I'm like, Bangkok Tokyo is not China.
But we are not in China here.
Yeah, so that's
and
what
you're
inspired
sitting at the sushi bar.
I know, and it was just like really weird. I actually grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in North Platte, Nebraska.
Okay.
And back in the 70s, I would totally understand that, but we're not in the 70s anymore, and I was. We should know better, right? We should know, even though I know it was just like a slip of the tongue. I know she meant well, but it just made me sit down and wonder, wow, I feel like I need to do something about this, and that's why I started Steamy Kitchen.
So why are you at BlogHer this year?
Oh, to connect with friends. This is, I blog and write full time, so I work out of the house.
Yeah.
And
it's social hour.
Well, yeah, and I feel like I'm meeting with my coworkers, right?
Yeah.
These women are my coworkers.
Yeah.
And sometimes, just being able to connect in person and talk about things that we do, because it can get the personal face-to-face can never be replaced with email and Twitter and Facebook.
And you can probably also, you've been following people on Twitter, they've been following you to actually meet them in person, which is such a great thing.
It's so much fun, so much fun. All the squealing and hugging
that
goes on
all
at
that.
BlogHer.
I recognize you. I've been following you for 2 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much, Jaden. You can learn more about Jaden Hare and GenConnect at GenConnect.com or BlogHer.com, as well as on Jaden's website, SteamyKitchen.com. And I'm Laurel House, your GenConnect expert.